Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and children of over a certain age that may be viewing my YouTube page and channels. I am currently painstaking trying to convert all of my father's old cine films onto a memory card, which I can then upload and hopefully edit. Now, this is the cine film reader that I am currently using. When I actually purchased this, I wasn't actually aware of the make and model that I had purchased, because the previous owner of this machine, even they were not able to disclose in the information as to which model of cine film converter projector it was. On the box itself, it actually says 8mm and Super 8 Reels Movie Maker Pro. The actual make of this type of cine film reader that I have got is actually the Wolverine version. And the reason I know that that is the make of this particular brand that I'm using is because when you actually start the machine up, Wolverine logo actually flashes in the little window here, in the little video window. Now, I did a lot of market research before I went out to purchase one. I was very apprehensive because I've got a lot of cine films to get through. And I did find out that the Wolverine brand was one of the best on the market out of the top 10. It was actually number 1 or 2. Now, since using this product, I've probably used it now for about a week. I straight away can see there are a lot of teething problems with this make and model of a reader. You can probably see what I'm doing here. I'm constantly having to sort of self-wind the reels. And the reason for this is because both of these are probably the biggest type of reels that you will get that I'm aware of. If, you know, you're doing it as a hobbyist, which a lot of people would have done it back when my dad was in his 20s, as opposed to if you're doing it professionally. Now, the problem with this machine is this bit here moves. And what you're supposed to do is click it up to put the reel on. And what actually happens is gravity. You can't do anything about it. The heavier the reel is this side, what tends to happen is as you're feeding the reels through the machine is over time it will actually drop. So one of the things I've had to be very sort of vigilant about is when I've been fitting the reels this side is to make sure that I've pushed up this arm as far as it will go. But when you then put it away, you need to make sure that that arm is down. If this arm isn't down, it won't fit back in the box. So that's very important to be aware of. When I first brought it, I thought to myself, this doesn't look right. And it was only after kind of messing around with it for a couple of days that I realised that, you know, this arm goes up, it's pretty self-explanatory. There are some lines that you follow to clearly and concisely tell you how to wind the spools. With this make and model there, again, it will constantly remind you when you set it up. There are actually 2 settings on there. There are a number of settings on this, but what I've tried not to do is to mess around with it too much. And so what I'm doing is when I'm basically feeding the film from A to B, we'll say, I haven't messed with like the exposure time. I did with the first film, and I found the picture was not very clear, not very concise. It came out quite fuzzy, and I was like, oh no, please tell me this is not going to happen with every single reel that I do, that I'm not even going to be able to see what's on the, you know, actually on any of the film. There are a lot of things out there nowadays that will help to try and improve the quality of cine film reels. I haven't really researched or gone into any of that yet. My main goal is to, by December of this year, have all of my dad's cine film reels copied and saved electronically, so that this finally happens before they start to degrade even more. All of these cine films were actually done by my dad when he worked for the Merchant Navy. And he worked for them for 3 years. And so all of the places that are going to be on these cine films are going to be places that he visited when he did that for a living. I have no idea what is on any of them at all. This is the first time that I've actually been given them and been given the permission from my mom to do anything with them. She was very guarding of these items because they were the only thing I suppose she still had left of my dad. And I've promised her that I will take care of them. I will do the best I can to restore them and make them watchable for the family. Obviously, she's not aware as to what I've actually done yet. I'm hoping it'll be a nice surprise for my family in the new year. This is not a 5-minute job, guys. It is extremely labor intensive. With a film such as the one I'm showing you now, I estimated each reel that I've done so far has probably took me anywhere between an hour to 4 hours to feed through this reader. This is actually the 8th reel that I've done, and I've got a box full to go through. This is why if you were to send these to a professional business to do it for you, they charge so much because they're actually charging you by the hour. And then if you want anything extra putting on, like music or subtitles or editing to make it more viewable, then there are added costs to that. So please do your research. With myself, because I've literally got a box of these to go through, and I'm a full-time stay-at-home single mom because I have a disabled son who I care and homeschool, I'm actually using this as a way of sort of teaching my son about the media industry and about how things have changed, because he's very into computers. And I've said to him, if you can learn how to do something like this, potentially there may be a job in the future for you to do this. Yes, thank you. You can probably hear him in the background. Okay. So, like I said, this is extremely labor intensive, and you cannot, unfortunately, leave this machine just to run by itself. What I've found with a lot of the reels is that within 20 minutes to half an hour, there's been damage to the actual film reels themselves. And I do have a splicing machine, I just haven't used it yet, and I would recommend buying professional splicing tape. If you're not too worried, then you could use sellotape, which I have been doing, but that's only because I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing this as a business. But if you were going to do something like this professionally, do your research and obviously get the right equipment that you can. Now, these reels, I just want to quickly add, they are the original reels that my dad would have used. Anything new that is on the market, unfortunately, if they're from China, they are rubbish. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, this machine was probably made and manufactured in China as well. But unfortunately, the reel that came with this, I have managed to use it, but it was an absolute nightmare to put on the machine. It was an absolute nightmare to get it to not catch the film footage as you're going round the, as you're feeding it through the machine. And basically, the reason why I was having these problems is because the gap that was required in order to feed the reel through so that it would then wind up is not level. And because it wasn't a proper circle and it had been slightly dented or damaged, and maybe even like through manufacturing, sorry about my little boy in the background, it wasn't actually feeding the tape correctly. So please, if you do this, try not to leave this. I know it's very boring sitting here watching it for 3 hours of your life or however long it takes to run through the machine, but don't leave it unsupervised. Again, I've also noticed it keeps catching a lot as it's winding, so every now and again I have to sort of jog it along. There is a clicking sound as it gets feeded through the little teeth on here. And then obviously, as you can see, there is the picture. So if you have any questions or queries, please don't hesitate to contact me. And like I said, I did actually find out that this is what they call the Wolverine model, which is supposed to be one of the best on the market. And again, if you do not fit the spool correctly on these little pegs that come out, then it will keep falling off. So I have had that issue in the past. So again, try it. If you can't get on with it, pay someone to do it for you. But because I have so many of these reels, I mean, I've probably got over 100 to go through. You know, if I was going to pay someone to do this for me, I'm going to be looking at £1,000 to £2,000. And that is just for raw footage. That isn't for it to be edited or, you know, to be put to music or anything like that. That would literally be somebody just doing what I'm doing now. So please stay posted, and I will continue to talk about this in the near future.